But I was working on this deck this weekend, and I was there have been several kind of paths to get here, if that makes sense. I have started many times to work on a deck that is playing these three cards: Sunken Citadel, Castle Garenbrig, and Shifting Woodland. I think there's kind of clearly a lot of overlapping synergy, right? Where Sunken Citadel activates these cards, Castle Garenbrig, Shifting Woodland. Castle Garenbrig and Shifting Woodland both like to have a forest to play tapped, and you like, and kind of beyond that, I've been in kind of two main directions: a more Primeval Titan focused build like this, and then I've tried to get really weird with like Vaultborn Tyrant, the Elf MDFC that sacrifices a thing and draws cards and gains life, Fanatic of Ronus, like those kind of shells. All those shells are like so hard to build, and they're really bad. So I spent a lot of time on those builds, despite them being really bad. There's something that's very sweet about it. But I for like basically 2 months, I've tried to do this with Primeval Titan. And basically where I kept getting stuck is that you need to play a ton of freaking basics, and especially if you're going to play Flare of Cultivation plus Grazer, you want a ton of basics. And if you're going to play Sunken Citadel, Woodland, Castle Garenbrig, Valakut, it basically is impossible for you to also play like a ton of Stomping Grounds, commercial districts, yada yada yada. It just like does not fit. And so I thought that was going to be like the death of the deck, that you just couldn't play actual mountains in the mana base. But then, time is like, this is where I was at with this like 2 months ago, right? And then time passed, and then we work on the Shifting Woodland Omniscience build, and Cash Grab gets printed, and then all of a sudden, I'm working on this, and I just kind of realize if you just play the Rumble Cash Grab package, you're going to be pretty consistently able to Shifting Woodland your Dryad. If it dies, if your Dryad dies, you're going to be able to Shifting Woodland it pretty consistently. And so I started to work on the build, playtesting some, and I played one league with this deck. I lost playing for a trophy, and kind of simply, the deck was very good. The deck was very good in testing last night. Specifically, Primeval Titan, like I would just like cast Primeval Titan against the grindy decks, and even if my opponent had like a counter spell, I was just able to Shifting Woodland my Titan. If they had a removal spell for the Titan, I was just able to get like Sunken Citadel, Shifting Woodland to do it again, or like two Woodlands. Like the package of like Titan Woodland was incredible. Like sometimes I'll just have Woodland in play, and I'll just get two Sunken Citadels for next turn, and it doesn't like end the game immediately, but you can cast Titan faster than you usually can in like regular red-green Valakut Titan, because you're a Sunken Citadel, Castle Garenbrig deck, because you're on Sunken Citadel, Garenbrig, Grazer, Explorer, Rumble to a lesser extent. You're able to like turb out these Titans really fast, and then they're also like super resilient because of the Shifting Woodlands. There's also like a pretty fun trick with this deck too, where if you have Dryad in play and you put a bunch of Valakut triggers on the stack, and your opponent kills your Dryad in response to those Valakut triggers, those triggers are still on the stack, and you can copy your Dryad with Shifting Woodland to turn those lands back into mountains, so those triggers do resolve, which is pretty cool. Additionally, one big problem with big mana decks in general is that there are a lot of main deck Blood Moons. There are some sideboard Harbinger of the Seas, some main deck Harbinger of the Seas, but less main deck than sideboard. There's also a lot of Break the Ice, and there's a lot of Obsidian Charmals. And what I found yesterday in my testing is you are a lot more resilient to these cards than other decks are. This is partially due to the fact that if your opponent Blood Moons you, you could just still cast all of your spells really easily. But also, you have the access to main deck Archdruid's Charm, which is not only just a good card to tutor up a Castle Garenbrig, or a Valakut, or a Citadel, or a Woodland, or a Titan, or a Dryad. It can also exile Blood Moon, and can also fight a Harbinger of the Tides. So it not only is it like just a good spell to play, it also gives you a lot of built-in resiliency. And this card is actually surprisingly easy to cast through Blood Moon, I found, with like either Dryad turning your lands back into forest for the green mana, or Flare of Cultivation getting forest out of your deck. Additionally, your deck is like basically immune to Break the Ice, and Obsidian Charmal is like a 5-mana removal spell or land destruction spell that you don't really care about. So getting to be like really resilient to those cards is awesome. So maybe overall like the deck looks kind of simple or whatever, but I was really impressed with it last night, and I think that the like being able to play a ton of basics is awesome, and getting the Sunken Citadel Woodland Castle Garenbrig package is awesome. I was playing 4 Castle Garenbrigs last night. I ended up cutting the 4th one for the 10th basic forest, because you really do want to draw forest. You don't want to draw second castle that often. You do want to draw multiple woodlands though. So let's get going. Glass, 13 months. Take a look back. Microspawn isn't a consideration. I considered it. I definitely considered it. I did. It's not in the deck at the moment. It's kind of a weird hand to draw. I'm going to keep this double rumble woodland hand. Summoner's Pact not necessary. I think that Archdruid's Charm is better than Summoner's Pact. I thought about doing a 3-1 split. I thought about maybe playing 2 Crash Grab, 1 Summoner's Pact. I did test Summoner's Pact a little bit. But I really like that Archdruid's Charm is like much better on turn 3. If that makes sense. Like, or when you have 3 mana, maybe I should say that instead. Second Channeler. No second land. So let's just explore. The next turn we could go double rumble. Dr. Muggy with the 34 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. All that stuff. Appreciate you. I can actually go rumble, and cash grab next turn. Yeah, rumble is incredible for sure. Hoping they don't get delirium here, but they're kind of likely to. See, I think they have a land on top of their library, and they're like thinking about trying to get delirium versus keeping the land. No Cavern as well. How do you feel against control decks? Incredibly good. I feel like I almost can't lose against control decks. Shifting Woodland is like just almost impossible. This card is almost impossible for them to beat if you draw it. This is at least how I feel at the moment. They should play around Spell Pierce, but like they're going to be able to use the Spell Pierce either way, right? How easy has it felt as getting Delirium with the deck? It feels usually about as easy as casting one of these cards. Delirium. Do I want a Titan or do I want a Dryad? I think I'm going to take the Dryad and have the ability to Shifting Woodland. Oh, sorry, if I take the Dryad, I don't have Delirium, right? I have Sorcery. I'll have Delirium after I use the cash grab. Okay, so Dryad has to go to the yard for me to have Delirium. So I guess I'm just gonna take the Titan, and then if they're probably gonna go. The problem is they're probably gonna hold up Counterspell next turn. I guess I could take nothing. Taking nothing's kind of sick here. No, we'll just take the Titan, and then we could just cast the Titan next turn, and if it's countered, then we can start woodlanding it. We also maybe we could maybe just copy Dryad and then go copy Dryad, land drop, kill a Channeler. That could be the line too. Dr. Muggy with the 34 months, Will Dash with the 6, Simon with the 57, CK Cloud with the 41. Appreciate you. All right, 2 cards on the top. Did I miss anybody? I feel like I missed some. We got Glax with the 13, Dr. Bug with the 34, Will Dash with the 3, Simon with the 57, Clock with the 41. I think that's everybody. Okay, so Flare of Cultivation is interesting, because if I go copy the Dryad, then I could go land drop, sack this. The problem is that plays, I think, into Unholy Heat a little bit too much. So let's just cast Titan. Then the 2 copies of Lightning Bolts. And obviously what's nice is that this should probably resolve. So I think I'm going to grab second Shifting Woodland and a Sunken Citadel. This way I'm going to be really easily able to copy the Dryad again. I actually like Analyst instead of Cash Grab in the deck. I tested Analyst, and I found that Cash Grab is a lot better. With Analyst, like, you don't really have room to play any fetch lands. Analyst is Analyst is really like pretty mediocre. If your hits are bad, Analyst is not something you can loop in this deck unless you play Lotus Field and Spelunking or Amulet of Vigor. The Cash Grab, like, I think you're also like drastically underestimating how important like the card selection on this card is. Digging for a Ring or a Dryad or a Titan is just like so important. All right, so let's copy a Dryad. I think it could just be tapped here. But that's okay. Maybe we play like a league or something before. I spent a long time on this list, but let's see. Maybe play a little bit, and then y'all can suggest all the changes. Okay, so I'm gonna go to combat here. If my opponent kills the Titan, I could just Woodland copy the Titan, and then still get 2 Valakuts to win the game with here. Molten Treetop. That's kind of good. But the thing is, I always like decks to be pretty descriptive if possible. And this is what I'm talking about. I was really impressed with this. Like, just like Titan getting Shifting Woodland is just really crazy. And, you know, Valakut, Amulet Titan also does this, but I think that they are a little less good at translating this into like a grindier plan because their deck is faster, but also like much more fragile. That makes sense. Why is the deck better than Amulet Titan? Well, what this deck does better than Amulet Titan is not be very dead to a Damping Sphere, very dead to a Blood Moon. This deck is... The strength of this deck is its resiliency. You have a ton of basics. You have a ton of basics, and you also have main deck answers to Blood Moon. I guess you also have Boseiju's in Titan, but you could also have main deck answers to Harbinger with your charms. You just cast your stuff a lot easier. You are more resilient to sideboard cards. You're not weak to removal spells on Saga. So this deck is more resilient than Amulet Titan, but like less raw power. Okay, so up game against Dimir Murktide here. They're probably going to have some Blood Moons post-board. Potentially some split of Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon. We have Soulless Jailer because Storm's a really bad matchup. Also good against Gorios, by the way. I might just want to lean on Archdruid's Charm as my answer to Moon against them. I might want to play 1 Force of Vigor, but it's a big problem if they have Magus or if they have potentially Harbinger too. I could see wanting to play a couple Dismembers also. I think I'm going to go like 2 Dismembers in. And then trim. I think Explore 4 and then Flare 3. Average turn for kill. Goldfishing, I think you win on turn 4 most of the time. You have some nutty draws that could win on turn 3, but it'll be pretty specific. But I think turn 4, turn 5. Thank you, Jan, for the 2 months. Appreciate you. Bog doesn't seem terrible. Maybe. So what's cool about Bog is you can Archdruid's Charm for instant speed graveyard hate. So like we also bring that in against Gorios. I don't know if I want it for like Delirium / Murktide reduction, but it could be good. All right, I think against the Ragavan deck, I'm going to keep this hand. Obviously, we need to draw lands, but not only do we have 24 more lands in the deck to draw into, but we also have Rumbles and Cash Grabs that can find us lands. We'd also top deck Flare of Cultivation. Now, I do wonder... Okay, well, no wonder needed. Good, very well timed Scolding, though. If opponent Surgicals your Dryad, we just win by beating down with Titan? Yeah. And then, like, the thing, too, about just winning with beating down Titan, like one thing I've been doing is, like, I just Titan, I get 2 Woodlands, and then next turn, I'm able to like attack for 18, because I'm attacking with the Titan I played, and then I'm copying more Titans. Like what's fun about this deck is it has a very fast Goldfish. So if you win the die roll, you're able to like out Goldfish a lot of the other like non-interactive decks that aren't going to kill your Dryad, and against the decks that are going to try to interact with you, you are just really resilient. So. I'm really liking this dynamic of the deck. That's a 2-for-1, baby. Postboard of the 47 months. Thank you, homie. Hope you're doing well. Is there a way to subscribe on mobile now? Anytime I go to my browser, it tells me it is complete. I know that it's weird on mobile now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what we need to do. Same the ring. But I would mostly recommend not subscribing on mobile because they usually charge you a fee unless you're on the browser. Okay, so they have a Force. We'll go ahead and play a Grazer out to try to block this Frog. If they have to discard two cards to get through the Grazer, I think that's good news for us. Maybe they'll have a Bolt or something, though. Scores a Delta. Discards a Consigned to Memory. Right? Little 1 mana Mind Rot. Don't love to draw the third Dryad here, to be honest. Woodland Shift. I mean, we don't have the card Scape Shift in the deck, right? So, oh, but Woodland Shift, the shift is Shifting Woodland. Yeah, it needs work. Needs work. Them exiling the ring instead of just countering it's kind of bad for us too, because now we don't have Delirium. We do have enchantment, sorcery, and creature. Usually you don't have Delirium unless you draw a Rumble or a Cash Grab. Alright, another Unholy Heat. Prime Wood. Dude, Psychic Frog is so damn good. So we draw like Cash Grab or Ring. That might get us out of this. I know they're gonna have counter spells, but then we can like get Delirium. Unless they like exile the Cash Grab, I guess. Isn't this more of a Dryad Valakut deck than a Titan deck? Lol. Why don't we have a name from the little guy? I don't know. I feel like this is more of a Titan deck, to be honest, but it is maybe a little bit arbitrary. I don't have, like, I might just, like, yeah, I don't have Delirium. Alright, let's see if this resolves. Kind of more important to resolve the Grazer, though. But if they have a counter spell, they're going to counter this instead of the Titan. So this is kind of weirdly the bait spell, I suppose. Yeah, I think we just get Valakut here. But if they have a counter spell, see this is 5 power. Yeah, they'll be able to counter fly and then kill me. So let's just go to game 3. Now, on the play, I do think these Dismembers are a lot less important. I think still having a couple copies is going to be fine. Seeing that they're on Grixis, they are like a lot less likely to have a moon effect, which is good too. Do you think you'll ever play Jeskai Control? Sorry for my English. Yeah, we might play. We might play Jeskai Control again at some point. I've been thinking about playing it with Leyline Binding some. I think I might be more. I considered doing that in a challenge last weekend, but yeah, it's everything is possible, of course. Is Explore better than Splunking since you already have 8 2-drops? Yes, it is. You really want 1 and 2 mana ramp. Play Ring on turn 3. Davil's turn 3 kills in general. But yes, I think Explore is much better than Splunking in this deck. I know we've got some tap lands. The difference between 3 and 2 mana is just ridiculous too. And like Explore is also like the Explore plus Rumble is like kind of it's easy to like play like 2 of them in a turn, 3 of them in a turn sometimes. No 6, yeah, no copies of 6. All right, I think in this matchup we are gonna click the keep button. How about adding 1 bounce land to be able to get Boseiju with Titan? Bounce lands are pretty awkward in Valakut decks in general, but you could. I think it's kind of it's maybe even likely that the inclusion of 1 I always want to run 2 fetches in a Surveil or 3 fetches in these mono green woodlands list to help with Delirium over 3 forests. Maybe I really like how many forests we have, so that we are just a lot better against Harbinger and Blood Moon. It's also kind of nice to just be a completely painless mana base, but I don't think that like losing a few life really matters that much. Okay, I don't love drawing the 3rd Sunken Citadel here. I'm gonna take the Shifting Woodland. Now I've got double Sunken Citadel plus Woodland. My idea is sometimes you can go Titan into Dryad if you have Splunking. I understand, but listen, I tested Splunking, Heresy. I tested Aftermath Analyst. I spent probably 10 hours on this deck over this weekend, and I've also this deck is like 2 or 3 months in progress. I'm finally really happy with the list. It's not going to be perfect, but I've thought of all of these like really like surface level cards. I've thought about all of these like pretty normal options, and I've been working on it. I promise. I'm feeling pretty good about my card choices. Some days I'm a little bit more open to yeah, maybe, but today I'm feeling really solid. I'm not playing Cavern of Souls with Shifting Woodland. I don't think it's a very important tool. How about having one or two fetches to search with either the Charm or Titan? So I don't know why you'd really ever want to search a fetch with Charm or Titan. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just kind of good to have a bunch of basics and a pretty painless mana base. Yeah, I didn't feel like it's disrespectable, but I just at the very least, like the suggestions I feel like are just kind of like more like obvious includes, analyst, splunking. I've tried, I've tested, I'm happy here. I'm just trying to communicate to you, I'm not trying to be snarky or whatever. Although we are certainly not in very good shape here. So unfortunately, I didn't deploy my Woodland earlier. It would be really nice to just, like, copy a Titan here. Alright, draw a card. Maybe the winning line is to copy Dryad. Copy Dryad this turn, and then I can play another Sunken Citadel. And then next turn I can go... The next turn I can attack with this as a Titan, and then I can use this to copy a Dryad. So this would allow me to, if my opponent is only on counter magic here, this would allow me to win the game next turn while completely ignoring all of their counter spells, maybe their non-consigned counter spells. So this doesn't play around their removal so well, but I think playing around the card counter spell seems kind of nice. I suppose I should have attacked for 2. Okay, pretty unfortunate. Isn't it like it isn't like it's unlikely to mill over lands? Yeah, when you cast a Rumble or a Cash Grab, you're gonna have a land in the yard basically every time. Castle Garenbrig question mark. Are you asking about if we have them in the deck? I had 4 yesterday, playing 3 today. Okay, so now my opponent is in very commanding position. Do I have to play the ring? The ring is just going to get countered and I'm going to die. It seems like that'll probably be what happens. Although, so they'll have the ability to +5 this next turn, which will be Xaxes. What can I do? What can I do? Not enough, I think. Just had to we can play around the counter spells, but we did keep the slower, grind your hand. Maybe we should have mulliganed this one. Right. Dead to them discarding everything. They, maybe they won it for some reason, but let's just go to game match 2. So I think game 1 I'll put back. I guess I can just put back the forest. Keep the Boseiju for now. Rumble for a Valakut, then copy Dryad and play land to kill DRC. Yeah, maybe that was the line. Yeah, Rumble to try to do that. We just need to draw some juice. We're in the draw. Have an explore. Opponent with the whole 1 minute tank here. I've seen the Jolly Balloon Man. Yeah, that one's a weird one. Not quite a Kiki Jiki, but pretty close. I was looking at that card and trying to figure out if it went infinite with anything. I don't think it does without the 3rd card, but it may just be like, okay. It's like a 3-mana human that has haste, and you can spend a mana to make a token copy of something. Last night when I played the deck, I beat Energy twice, I beat Demir Frog twice, and I lost to Storm. And then I added these Soulless Jailers. Did I see Somalia deck that won the Nordic Masters? No, I did not see that. It's playing Birthing Ritual? Alright. 2 minutes later, my opponent has played Darkslick Shores, Inquisition of Kozilek. We're going to play a Sunken Citadel and pass the turn back to them. We'll play Explore over Rumble here, mostly because I would prefer for this not to get countered. Nice. Didn't think they'd aggressively use the counterspell like that, though. Another frog. Two Valakuts. Love to find a Woodland and mill some juice off of this, of course, against the counterspell deck. My opponent discards a Fatal Push. Good chance they have a second copy, right? I don't know if they would be doing that against the Dryad Valakut deck that often. Maybe I could wait for them to fetch here. Alright, we got a Dryad or Primeval Titan. Titan's obviously the more powerful card, and it also doesn't get Inquisition of Kozilek, so I think I'm going to grab that. Unfortunately, we haven't found a Shifting Woodland yet. Certainly a very important card to draw in spots like this. It's a YouTube link to the Amalia deck. You don't have like a deck list. Feels like Frog is taking over every format now. Yeah, kinda. Backup deck is I've been working on blue-black Necro Frog. Don't know if we're gonna get to that today though. Alright, 3 cards in their hand. They've already used one counterspell. The way they used it on, a Explorer seems like they probably have another one though. Oh, they do not. Okay, now we went from it is going to be very hard to win to I think it's going to be very hard to lose. Yeah, I can activate both Woodlands next turn. Just grab 2 of them. I've been wanting to Titan Woodland for so long. Yeah, not too dissimilar from like what we played when we played this deck. They're playing Dryad Arbor, which I always have a hard time stomaching. Let me see if I can. So 2 months ago we played this Birthing Ritual Amalia list. I don't think I had a 6. I was playing Return to the Ranks. They're not playing any copies of Return to the Ranks, which is really weird. What do they do when they Amalia combo? I don't know. I thought the Ranger Captain was really good. I like the Safekeeper. We should have a Safekeeper here. Wait, no, isn't there a problem with Safekeeper in this list? I guess not. I guess nothing targets. They board wipe an attack. Well, that isn't like good enough if your opponent just has a removal spell. Like that plan just like I don't like that plan just folds to your opponent, like letting you do that and then killing the Amalia. But maybe that's not a good plan against it. I'm not sure. But also, like, you want to be able to, like, have a non-summoning... oh, dude, no. Come on, brother. Well. I can draw a charm, I suppose. If I get Sunken Citadel, I can't name a color here, too. It's, like, the only card that stabilizes them here. Yeah, if it was Magus of the Moon, or Blood Moon, I guess. Not Magus, but if it was Blood Moon, we could be getting there. Yeah, interesting list. No, I think 0 copies of Return to Ranks is a mistake. But I like the Safekeeper. Let's see, so they have 4, 5, 6, 7. Black mana now, too. Now, my opponent's just drawn so many cards, it just seems so tough for, like, an Archdruid's Charm to resolve. Or Ring, but, I mean, those are our outs. Should have grabbed more basics for Explore into Charm. Yes, that's true. Alright, 8 outs. Guess we go Explore into Ring. So if I play a Grazer here, my opponent, I guess, they will be able to fly 2 Lethal Frogs, so let's go next game. Tough stuff. Magus a bit easier to attack in sideboard games here. I think against Demir Frog I was boarding like this. A little different than... Or is it the same way I board against Murktide? Obviously we're just, doing stuff. Grazer has reach. Yeah, but we're still... They can just discard to the other Frog, fly both of them, get in. Frog is so good. What is the benefit of playing this deck over Reglement? Resiliency to Damping Sphere, Blood Moon. Archdruid's Charm also kills Harbinger. Can cast all your spells through these effects. Resilient to Wrath the Skies. Resilient to Break the Ice. Resilient to Obsidian Charmal. Resiliency in general with like being really in on the Shifting Woodland plan. Like in that spot, we're baiting any non-Harbinger card really. Sounds a little slow and clunky. It is kind of tough to mulligan Woodland. I'm gonna go to mulligan though. Right, probably forced to keep this one. Putting back this second Dryad, I would think. Is there a consideration for Wayfinder for cash grab and maxing out on flares? No. Or you can consider, but the problem with building the deck that way is that the card selection on cash grab being an impulse that finds you your action spells in a deck that has relatively little action is just too important. The fact that it digs for your rings, your Dryads, and your Titans and puts them into your hand is a big part of like this deck's consistency. And without it, I think you're struggling a lot. Is Ice Fang something at the moment? Trying to brew something with the new Enduring Curiosity. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Enduring Curiosity. I haven't seen that card. I will say that Ice Fang does seem like it might be okay against Frog. But it's not really been a card that I've liked for a while either. So if they counter my Flare and then go turn 3 Moon, we're obviously going to have a pretty hard time. But I am planning on casting this Flare next turn. It seems rough that we resolved the attack of the Titan multiple times and could not win. I guess. I don't know. I had a very, very good experience with this deck off stream last night. I'm very excited for it. We're running into main deck Harbinger. It is what it is. You do not win every single time you put a Titan into play. If they play a Harbinger next turn, and we draw a land, we could go Dryad into Charm it, although they're just Inquisitioning me here. They took Explore, which is surprising, I guess. They discard Preordain. Would Demir Frog be playable without Bowmaster? I mean, if you're talking about for budget concerns, sure. Bowmaster is really important, I think. Well, seems like this will resolve. What happens if they have Harbinger and you have Dryad in play? So, if you play Dryad after Harbinger, your stuff is basics of all types, but it doesn't unlock your Valakut to like do normal Valakut things. I think I'm gonna get second Sunken Citadel. But if the Harbinger gets played after the Dryad, your non-basics are all mountains. Oh, sorry, islands. But your basics are still domain lands. Do I ever block the Frog here? They would have to discard 4 of their 6 cards. Okay, well, this game's gonna be pretty easy, I guess. Maybe they can Subtlety my Dryad? I think this is a point for Summer's Pack over Archdruid's Charm. But the charm just makes you a lot more resilient too. All right, we're gonna click through this opponent. Seems we are. Okay, now we're conceding. Game 3 on the draw. Don't think I'm changing anything. Let's click submit. Grazer just being able to like make them discard 2 cards to the frog, be able to chump block Murktide, I think is pretty dang nice. Tough one-lander. I really don't like mulliganing a Dismember ring hand, but so Grazer Dismember ring hand. I think we have to keep this on the draw on the mulligan 6. They have a slow disruptive hand, we're pretty happy. If they have a aggressive interactive hand, we're less happy. Happy enough with this, I guess. Would you ever switch to a content model where your editor makes videos from the morning stream, then gets posted that evening? I know the obvious answer is just tune into the stream, but as someone who rarely is able to watch stream hours, sometimes it sucks to be watching videos so we get you back. I mean, it's just not really super reasonable to ask. My editor is not like... I think it's too much to ask, I think, of any editor, at least at, you know, unless you're giving them like a full-time salary for them to just be editing every day and then immediately like getting it up as ASAP, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just not super feasible. Lux Capacitor, 12 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. It would be nice. I agree that it would be nice. It would be pretty ideal. Clock with the 52. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. But there's also the VODs on Twitch. You know, there's the VODs on Twitch. What do you think of the Crackling Drake Arena of Glory deck? Hard to believe it's the correct blue-red build despite placing a lot of challenges. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I really don't love the look of it, but it is doing well, so I have an open mind, I suppose. I'm also skeptical, I suppose. This card's an Inquisition. Just pay them salary. I do split the YouTube revenue 50-50 with the editor. And he makes pretty good money, but I don't know, it's I agree. It could be nice, but also it's like not every league makes the YouTube, not every thing does. Also, like, you know, it's good for videos to be posted on the weekends, just a whole thing. All right, we're getting consigned. Is my editor the one who made a short? I hired a different editor for the shorts. I'm trying an experiment where I post one every single day this month, just to see like what happens. So I hired a separate editor for that, and just, you know, like a 1 month kind of trial period. I wonder if it was good to. Is it good to like charm this turn? I don't think so. Is this turn 3 frog in every game? I think it's been turn 2 frog every game, right? So I think with this Grazer draw, let's just get ready to rumble. Man, I crushed Dimir Frog twice yesterday. It feels bad too. Maybe just be 0-2 against like Grixis into Dimir. Is what it is. We were going to win this game 1 if it wasn't for the main deck Harbinger. The builds with main deck Harbinger are certainly a lot worse for us, of course. See what happens. Now, they were missing land drops, and now they've hit they missed their on turn 3, now they've gone land. Is that right? Alright, I'm going to slam a ring that can paper Spell Pierce. Do you agree Psychic Frog is a very well-balanced card? Don't know if I'd say that. Frog is, like, interesting. I agree that it is very good. So I guess the plan now is to maybe draw land and then charm for Dryad, or maybe draw Dryad and then charm for another Valakut. Although my opponent could just discard their whole hand. Do you think the blue-red Tommy of Phoenix deck got better? Is the deck more of a fun meme versus actually a strong deck? So I will say I really dislike the tendency to, whenever someone asks about decks, it's just so often, is this deck a meme or is it really, really fucking good? And usually the answer is somewhere in between. On the draw against a mulligan to 6. Exile an Ugin, a Ring, and a Power Plant. Looks like we can maybe make use of the Rumbles. So if we drew Sunken Citadel here, we'd be able to Titan next turn. Not quite that lucky. See if they have Natty-Tron. What deck would you bring to an RCQ? I don't know. Modern is, very, very open at the moment. My head is honestly kind of spinning with all of the options. Okay, that is not the sign of someone who has Natural Tron. Just cycle a command. We'll see. We'll see if that is still true. Okay, looks like no Natural Tron. Do they have a Karn or a Ring? Yeah, I'm not sure what I played on RCQ right now. It is just a very confusing format for me at the moment. I'll maybe play the Dimir Necro Frog deck I've been working on, but it's just very, very hard format to attack at the moment, it seems. Or I'm having a hard time with it. So we can't quite just charm the ring here. Okay. So can I guess I'm not gonna have enough mana to charm for a Dryad. Charm for a Dryad and cast Titan. There's the mine. I could just charm for a Dryad. If I draw a land, I can charm for a Dryad and deal them 12? Awesome tracker, very cool. Getting Stonebrand here. Is this a play what you know meta then? I mean, that is what people are doing, but I think the reality is that the meta is kind of like all over the place, or maybe I should say that the meta is energy decks and a bunch of combo decks that seem to maybe be trying to farm the energy decks. That seems to be like the main dynamic. And then there's like a third category of people playing their pet decks because a ban happened, which is not always something that works out super well. I guess if I drew a Dryad, I could go cast Dryad, then charm for a third Valakut, and then that's 9. Yeah, that would be lethal. And now that they're Stonebranding me, I have an extra look here, although I just have drawn a basic forest. And probably the worst top deck there. That being said, no real plan besides this. I will go ahead and kill the Karn to maybe stop them from Sundering Titaning my whole board here. Did MH3 push energy too far? Well, energy as a mechanic, I think got a little bit better post Modern Horizons 3. I will say I'm a little shocked at the amount of people that like talk about the mechanics so much. They're like, why is Sun Cleanser the only card that punishes energy when there are like lots of ways to punish the archetype as a whole? The Boros and the Mardu decks I've found to be pretty dang beatable if you play a kind of just non-interactive deck, or you play a deck that's playing a lot of sweepers. And if you're not playing those, the deck is probably pretty good against you. Does one bounce land possibly make the cut? I mean, there's some situations for it, but to some extent, you just want to get in Valakut decks, you want to get to like 6 or 7 lands in play, or I guess in this deck 6 lands, and so the bounce land can be a little bit awkward there. So I don't know that the amount of times you'd want to tutor it justify the inclusion. Yeah, Sideboard Emrakul the Promising could be cool for this deck. Fortunately, they're exiling the Dryad instead of playing in a way that lets me do anything with my woodlands this game. In order to like kill them next turn, we'd have to go like Rumble or Cash Grab, find a land off of that, and then copy Dryad. Okay, so if we mill over a Dryad and draw into a land, we get there. Unfortunately, not. No ring either. I grab one of these. Got some outs, but see what happens. I mean, they are going to be down to 5. They can probably find another ring very soon. If they were at, one less life point, then, they'd just be dead if they didn't find a ring. Karn. So their Stonebrain is in exile, so they could just Stonebrain my Dryads now, which I guess I would scoop to. Is it reasonable to say the energy decks are still just playing fair Magic? It's reasonable, but every time we have this whole like fair versus unfair conversation, everyone like loves to go, "You think this is fair?" Instead of having like a conversation about anything, they just love to meme on it. But yeah, yes. So my opponent tutors the ring, but then they decide to Myco Spawn. I guess they could just still cast the ring. Alright, I'm going to pack it in. I'm going to play 4 Acid-Moss. And then I don't think I want to bring in any Force of Vigors. I think I'm going to go down 2 Archdruid's Charms, a Cash Grab, and an Explore. Maybe a Flare. Yeah, Explore into Acid-Moss is probably a little bit too important. Bad meta for this deck. I don't know. I think we're experiencing a little bit of variance to some extent. This happens sometimes where I have a really good day. I have a really good time off stream. I spend 10 hours on Sunday or 10 hours over the weekend working on a list. I'm super pumped for it, and then we immediately lose a bunch. Happens sometimes. It's sometimes hard to pin down exactly why this is happening, but at the very least. I was really excited for this list coming into today, and I still am optimistic. So we could Boseiju this turn, but we could also Boseiju next turn if we draw a land, and I think there's a good chance we're going to want to play the Boseiju as a land to trigger the Valakut. Let's Boseiju. I mean, I can't Titan either. Yeah, it's like when we played Elves the other day. We played against 2 Wrath opponents. Exactly. It just happens sometimes. Okay, let's not. I think I'm just gonna want this as land, and then they do have Natural Tron. Still think we hold the Boseiju here. There's even a chance we draw Titan and we want to Boseiju this. Can you do a poll of backup deck? Maybe Blue Red Tommy of Phoenix. I have a backup deck prepped. Another deck that I spent a long time working on, but yeah, I have a backup deck. This is also like the whole backup deck meme has become like this whole like. So when this happens, like I spent a long time on a list. Sometimes it doesn't go very well immediately, and Chad just wants me to pivot to their pet deck, which is fine. It's gonna happen, but. Let me play some matches with this deck that I spent some time on this weekend. We'll see. Okay, I mulligan this. Not a very good 6. It would be a lot better if either of these were untapped lands. Let's give it a go though. The advantage of this build versus Amulet builds, other Titanship builds. The advantage is resiliency to Moon, Break the Ice, Wrath the Skies, various Moon effects too. all the different ones that are kind of common. Pretty good draw. Guess we take second Woodland over the ring. So it's kind of an interesting decision tree where we could just slam the ring. We could also hold up Archdruid's Charm. I think, and then playing Dryad is also like better against Karn. Like I actually don't really like the idea of just being super weak to a Karn next turn. I think having Dryad in play to pressure it's going to be pretty important. So I think I'm going to play the Dryad and then play the Woodland. I do think that they're going to Kozilek's Command here. There's a chance if my opponent like just doesn't cast Kozilek's Command to Kozilek's Command the Dryad, I should also probably be pretty happy. And so here we're in a spot where we can draw land and cast Titan. We can also potentially Archdruid's Charm for Valakut. We could also maybe exile their ring if they played ring. A lot of options. I'm sure this is best. What's the thought of Valakut killing over Malevolent Titan? It has been asked a lot, even probably moments before you joined the stream. Just here, but the idea is resiliency to moon effects, resiliency to break the ice, resiliency to wrath the skies, resiliency to charm all, while also the resiliency of woodlands against like some of the interactive strategies. But that'll probably be the last time I answer that question for 2 minutes. They get Labyrinth, which is interesting. Printing Devourer. Castle Garenbrig would be an interesting draw. Really want to draw land off the ring. I'm sure what's going on with our opponents today too. It's just one of these days where it's like, what are we waiting for? You know. Very relieved to draw that land, I'll say. We'll see what they untap and do. Not clear that they are a Tron deck, which makes it much less likely they have Karn. Their own ring. Okay, could exile that with Archdruid's Charm if we feel like that's the most important thing to do. I updated the original Beseem deck to white versus green to help me versus Storm and Energy. Interesting. Okay, so I mean they have a Kozilek's Command, it seems, and I don't really know why they like waited here. Are they gonna wait for me to tap the ring? I don't understand what the thought is. So I only drew one land, so in order for me to, I guess I just will not be able to cast a Titan, huh? So I guess I'm gonna exile their ring and cast Malevolent Rumble. Ban with the tier 1 for 6 months. Let's go. It's a long time, my friend. We're doing well. Don't think I'm gonna sack my Dryad to the Flare. Wait, I missed 6. Did I say 6 months in advance? That is pretty exciting. And the 1 year. Oh, I see. They're trying. Yeah, they're trying to Kozilek's Command, but they can't because of the ring. That is definitely exactly what's happening. All right, so they have Kozilek's Command and then 3 other cards. 8 mana, 9 mana. Kozilek's Command or Ulamog? Looks like just the command. Now, I kind of doubt that they're going to exile the Dryad. Yeah, they're going to just make spawns and then scry. Might be getting through the breach here. Van with the tier 1 for 6. Alright, good service. That killer with the 29. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Seeing Valakut without a bunch of mountains feels wrong somehow. Yeah, I mean, so if you play a bunch of mountains, you don't get the luxury of Sunken Citadel plus Woodland plus Castle. And I found, at least in my testing yesterday, that you get to like copy your Dryad pretty often if it dies, or if you mill it over to like get those mountains. So not a Through the Breach. It's maybe a Devourer. Another one. 6 on the bottom. 1 on the top, and then 7 on the bottom on the other one. Then they play another ring. So the only way for us to trigger Valakut on our opponent's turn is with Archdruid's Charm. Drawing another one of those would be pretty nice. Opponent and their upkeep stops, huh? Well, how's everybody's Labor Day going? Any brews? Any deck ideas? Anybody? Anything? All right, let's draw 3. Sorry, let's wait for our opponent to let us draw 3. Take your time. Take your time. I got nowhere to be. Hope you're happy birthday, Avery. I don't think modified Goryo's counts. Maybe not, huh? But what else can we do? Surprise Flare is good enough with this few creatures. The thing is, you're just kind of happy enough to hard cast it a lot of time. Also, sometimes you do sack your Titan to it. Like, I think in this spot... Oh, I guess because they're probably a Through the Breach deck, me playing Grazer out and not Flare is maybe correct. Just to have the extra permanence. I'm trying to win games with Frog and Squee. Goblin and Bob couldn't be better. Yeah, I had a Psychic Frog Master of Death deck in Cube. It was really sweet. It was a really cool Madness deck. I basically had everything. To be fair, the plan used to be escape shift early, kill Tron, but you don't have the ability. I mean, we can kill as early as turn 3 because of Dryad. But usually more like turn 4. But we also don't have the card escape shift in this deck. It's a little bit different. Does Brain Surge have a place in the Port and Eldrazi deck? It could. I think it's kind of an interesting thought. Jam the Wizard package, Augur, Otter, Archaeologist into that selective memory combo deck with Flare and Force of Negation. I think I have like close to that. let me see. I did start to build that, and it's cool that like Archaeologist and Otter never miss because you're playing all the blue MDFCs. I don't remember where I finished on that though. Okay, so here's my. Wait, why do I have Sapphire Medallion here? I was also playing Harbinger. I think I have a different show where I was playing those and the Flares. Might be on Inspiring Timmy instead. One thing that I like about selective memory as a plan or whatever is that when you're in on selective memory, you can afford to play like 2 islands really easily. Okay, getting all is dusted, but we have got woodlands to spare. Oh, you play Augur over Archaeologist because you don't want to mill your Oracle on accident? I guess that makes sense. Well, my opponent's super dead. Let's see how long it takes to click through this turn. Do you think there's space for Archon decks in this ring meta? Maybe I did like the green black Archon deck that we were working on. I was even like, I know this is so weird, but Tasker was feeling really nice in a deck that like was playing Rumble and Fnatic of Ronus, where it's like a 1 mana enabler for Fnatic, and you could just tap your Fnatic to activate Tasker. So there seemed to be like a nice little overlap there, you know. Which am I reading against the Karn deck? Or I guess they maybe not playing Karn, but just against the Eldrazi deck in general. Just go down one. Okay, so this is playing. Yeah. So one thing when I was working on this a little bit recently, one thing I kind of realized is that I think basically every selective memory deck may have been misbuilt, or maybe I'm misunderstanding something. But it seems like you could just pretty easily play at least one basic island, maybe even two, and then you cast your selective memory, and then you're able to just have like Thassa's Oracle plus Island if it's still in the deck. You're able, and then you're still able to win if you cast the Oracle, or if you feel like your opponent's holding up interaction, then you have to like wait a turn or have another devotion in play. But you're just gonna have another devotion in play really often, and against the decks that have interaction up against you, it's not that tough to just like selective memory for like interaction plus Thassa's Oracle was the thought I was having. So I was just kind of thinking that like that first island obviously also does so much against Boseiju and against like White Orchid Phantom effects or whatever, that like that would be like the reason to do, or a big part of the reason to play this build. Um, but yeah, I do think that there's something here. I don't really remember why I stopped messing around with this though. Okay, on the draw. Nah, the existing builds are so much better than whatever you try to cook up. Are you talking about the selective memory deck or the deck I'm playing now? Single island on the board? No, I think you should just main deck the island. I think you should main deck the island, and then all of a sudden, like, it just doesn't cost you very much to be like all of a sudden you're just not super weak to Boseiju. People had island on the board and cut it because it's not worth. So, you know, this is a fine conversation we can have. We could talk about it. We could talk about playing it versus not playing it. For me, I had this long, kind of exposition statement on like why I think the island is good, and I had like very specific arguments for what happens when you cast selective memory, what happens when you're playing this deck, why the island is good strategically, situationally, why it's good. I'm down to talk about like why it could be bad, but the arguments of other builds are better, people are cutting it. This is like fine anecdotal whatever, but it is not something that is like really helpful or constructive when we're talking about figuring out our strategy, when we're talking about anything. It's not something I can like respond to. This kind of dismissive, this is what other people are doing, is not something I ever really feel very excited to engage with, if that makes sense. So if you want to like construct an argument on like why people are cutting it or why you think it's bad, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to engage with that. But I think in general, Magic conversations about strategy and all of this would be a lot better if we could move away from this is what people are doing, you know? Like I'm always open to, you know, my ideas not being good. I'm always open to other ideas being better, but I'm not very open to people not having like strategy based discussions on cards. They grab a Mycospawn. Really good draw from them. Another Mycospawn. So we're gonna get back to back Stone Rained. Might be a scoop 'em up kind of spot. Don't even know what to take. I guess I take Dryad. If I draw like untapped land, maybe this is like a way for me to like keep up with the Mycospawns. This is a combo briefly we're talking about. We're talking about the selective memory deck in general, but we're talking about the selective memory deck, but we're also talking about just kind of in general. If you're like if you're, dismissing a card or a plan, and your argument is this is what other people are doing, or nah, this other thing is better. It is not something that I can interact with or anyone can interact with in like a reasonable way. And it is not, I think, very constructive or helpful. And so I'm trying to encourage people to reframe the way they have discussions about Magic cards, as always. So one interesting thing here is I think my opponent's going to Mycospawn my Valakut. Oh, they're going to do this. Well, if they're just going to devour the Dryad, it is obviously bad that it gets exiled, but then we get to Primeval Titan, probably for 2 Sunken Citadels, so I can like trade here and then, well, maybe not. I guess I need to go Sunken Citadel Woodland because then they can Mycospawn my Woodland, right? What is the deck trying to do that we're playing right now? So we are trying to combine Valakut with Dryad to blast our opponent for a ton, and we have Primeval Titan to kind of assemble this. And what's cool is we have Shifting Woodland to like kind of be a very resilient way to play Titan. Like here, I play my Titan, it dies, and then I can copy it with the Titan with the Shifting Woodland next turn. Now, this may be a little too slow against my opponent who has through the breached me and devoured me and double Mycospawned me, but it might also just be enough. Got a lot of top decks to get me out of this. Right now, can I block with both Woodlands? I think I can't block with both Woodlands, unfortunately. So my opponent, I think, punts pretty bad by playing the Ring instead of this Mycospawn. I guess they're also going to play Mycospawn still? Okay, sorry, never mind. They didn't realize they could just easily do both. I think Island is bad because if you don't have Thassa's in hand and need to draw it next turn, you have 50-50 whether you draw Island or Thassa's first. Okay, that is a good way to say it. A good way to say it. They take the Valakut, which means that Dryad is not an out that stabilizes here. We find an Explorer. I'm gonna cast it, but we're drawing pretty cold at this point. Okay, so now we can go. It's pretty close where we can copy Dryad with the Sunken Citadel, and then we can play Valakut. We can only kill one of the Mycospawns, and if we flare the Dryad, we don't get to kill another one, so if we had drawn the Rumble first, I think we would have had enough mana to just hardcast the Flare to stabilize there. Either way, we're going to game 3 on the play. Pretty hand, let's keep. Titan shifting. Well, we are shifting with Woodland. We're not shifting with Scape Shift. Alright, they have 2 Devourers this time. That's part of the joke. Oh, I see. No. I guess I'm just more serious because we had, several questions like, what is this deck even trying to do generally, I think I'm going to explore over Charm here. Two Explorers. So let's play Forest here, then Cash Grab, and if I somehow get Delirium and something good to copy, unfortunately I just hit 2 lands, but if I take Boseiju, I guess I'm taking Boseiju. We could have attacked with a Titan here if we had milled the Titan and had Delirium. We're even playing Yavimaya over Pendlehaven and Elves, so you can better pick up the Disciples. I mean, Pendlehaven's pretty dang important, but I'm kind of feeling a little just sad about elves in general, you know what I mean? This is just the Sunken Citadel deck. No. I guess I don't know what you mean by that. Scapeless Shift. I think that might be the new name, the name of the deck. Scapeless Titan Shift. Now, what's one nice thing here is we're doing pretty good against Through the Breach Emrakul. I guess Through the Breach Ulamog is not so different here. Although maybe I want to play the Ring over Titan. No, I'll play Titan. We'll just get 2 Valakuts in this spot. Is there a variant of Pioneer for Devotion that's viable in Modern? I've been playing some various Devotion cells post MH3 with like Fanatic of Ronus and Leyline Scion. Sometimes playing Ugin's Lab that can pitch Scion and can pitch like Worldbreaker. Sometimes doing some other stuff. Oh, sorry, I forgot we knew about them having Devourer. We should have played Ring. I talked about the D2 that got spoiled yesterday. I tweeted about it. I like that card. I think it's pretty cool and pretty good. All right, Rumble first. So, is it better to put Forest into our hand and copy Dryad so that we can deal 12 damage this turn instead? It seems like it would be here. Don't really see a great argument for it not being. I guess I also can just play the Ring first here. So copy Dryad. I think we're just going face. And then is there any merit to like Boseijuing Eldrazi Temple here? No, like maybe if like we even cared about Ulamog being hard cast or something. But also what's nice about this is they're not going to be able to like devour our Dryad too. Do we talk about the new land cycle? Comes and played tapped unless player has 13 life or less. I have not seen those. Let's get some links. I'll take a look. All right, what you got? Which one? Emrakul. So sack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, kind of easy even. Just don't really care about any of those ones. I always love when your opponent like just throws an Emrakul at you and you do not care. Woodland can copy Valakuts in the yard. I mostly know that it can copy lands because I was also working on Shifting Woodland and Twiddlestorm over the weekend. We're probably going to play that at some point. All right, on the scoreboard. Okay, so I slow hand, but on the play. Let's keep this. Did I see the modal sweepers tapped or untapped? I guess not. No. Oh, it's Elk. He was probably playing Necro. Continues to look like Necro. So maybe if Elk doesn't have any discard here, we'll be able to like just exile Necro with the charm. What do you think of D-Tutor, but has to have Delirium for Modern with Frog? I mean, I'm unlikely to want to play that in combination with Frog. Frog decks are not the kind of decks that would be very interested in playing Demonic Tutor usually. I do think that card is interesting in Shifting Woodland decks that already want to get Delirium, and some of them want to play Gristlebrand, so it's cool that even when you don't have Delirium, it still like puts Gristlebrand into your hand. But yeah, a little unsure. Alright, so they take the Archdruid's Charm. Tap Felmire. We're rumbling. Let's take Sunken Citadel. And then if I don't draw anything important, I'm going to main phase Cash Grab, because if I draw Grazer, I want to go Grazer into Citadel. We do find Castle Garenbrig, though. So this will let me cast a Titan next turn. And then what's kind of cool about this too, especially against the Necro deck, is I just get to grab Shifting Woodland. So if they're gonna have a hard time killing the Titan, and even if they do kill it, copying it will be potent probably. I think I'm gonna get Sunken Citadel, Shifting Woodland here. Okay, Elk goes down to 13. Any Soul Spikes? Elk usually runs pretty bad against me when I play against Travis. But looks like he's got at least one. Like, yeah, what's also very cool about obviously the Demonic Tutor is it's like just truly a win the game card. Although I guess if you have Omniscience in play, although I guess Traverses too, because unless they have Bowmaster, the Gristlebrand will win you the game. All right, we've been Soul Spiked. Caustic with the 32 months, appreciate you. I went O2 drop RCQ yesterday, so need you win today. Okay, I'll do my best. So probably going Land Shieldred here. And then maybe just drawing entire deck. Or not entire deck, but 13. Yeah, I do like that if they kill the Titan, we still get to attack with it. So I do think that means we're most likely just going to get double Soul Spiked. I wonder if there's a chance they would hold Soul Spike for Dryad. 6 not making the cut. Yeah, 6 is kind of too slow, I think. Okay, is Soul Spiking me. Yeah, I need a Dryad. I haven't seen any in the top 20 so far. We have only 2 Archdruid's Charms left to top deck to find one. If we were going to draw that. El Pablo with the 4 months. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Even if they have double Soul Spike, they still have to kill Titan before attack, so you can activate Woodland, and that step attack all is still correct? Yes. Yes. Okay, so Elk is in the discard step, discarding 8 cards here. We're going to go down to 10, and then if Elk can find the other 2 Soul Spikes, if we just have Pro Everything, he won't be able to use both of them in the same turn there. Which is kind of interesting. It might still be right for me to tap the ring. Let's just see maybe if Elk blocks. Probably not going to block. I think drawing Shifting Woodland for turn, we're just going to get Valakut. Alright, and then let's thin the deck with Flare. Play the ring. And we'll do some thinking. You know, we have Rumble, Cash Grab, Archdruid's Charm, Dryad. So that's... We have 1 more Cash Grab, 4 more Rumble, 2 more Charms. So that's 4 plus 7. Well, I guess them having their own protection from everything is a problem. We'll see how many cards Travis draws here, I guess. They do have lethal and upkeep. Well, no, because they only have 5 cards in their hands, so they won't be able to double Soul Spike me in my upkeep, right? They also do have to find both of them, which they're not, guaranteed to. It seems like I'm gonna have to tap my ring though, and lose some life to the Shieldred. So I'm gonna go down to 8, then 6, then 5. Also, Marching the Titan. Another one for us. I'm down to 7. Rumble's an interesting hit. Might allow me to kill the Shieldred before I tap this ring and stay at 5. And then there's a Dryad. Probably better to cast a Dryad this turn while our opponent is tapped out. Let me, I think, just activate the Garenbrig here. Now, my opponent does have protection from everything. So I'm going to cast this and then kill the Shieldred. I'm going to get Valakut. Probably going to lose to Soul Spike plus Bowmaster. One nice thing is that we're going to have the ability to copy my ring with a Woodland and then not lose to it. I wonder if like a questing druid would be... Nah, probably not. We still wouldn't be able to target them. So, okay. Travis is soul spiking the Dryad. So I guess, was I supposed to play my land first to copy? Now, this is kind of a weird spot. Because while I can copy Dryad and then kill... the Shieldred... I'm guaranteed to take at least 1 damage off the ring, which means I'm gonna lose to Soul Spike number 4, right? So I guess that was better. I'm not really sure if we have a plan around this. No instant speed life gain. I guess what maybe could have, with my opponent being at 40 life, I don't think I'm killing them in response to anything here. Let me just make sure that there is a 4th Soul Spike over in the deck. There's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think there's still the 4th Soul Spike in the deck. Is ring last stone info? Yeah, last stone info. Like if a trigger with 2 counters on the ring goes on the stack, you either have to pull the counters off somehow, or you're going to take 2 damage. Is Druid only opponents as target? Yeah, this, unlike Kozilek's command, doesn't say target player searches for a land or whatever. Well, I guess Travis drew all but 1 card, so I guess if that last card is the Soul Spike, which is not very likely, but that's our out now. Exile your own ring if it prevents the damage. Exiling your own ring does not... If you have 2 counters on the ring, a trigger goes on the stack. If we exile our own ring, we still take 2 damage. There's, like, I think a pretty common misconception because of the way exiling a ring in response to, like, the first card being drawn works. You're dead to the 4th Soul Spike because of Shieldred. Well, I can kill the Shieldred with Archdruid's Charm. But, I mean, I'm dead to the 4th Charm because of the ring, too. So, like, I'm dead to it no matter what. But... there is a chance that Travis's last card is Soul Spike. In fact, I actually think that that's now somewhat likely because we haven't been Soul Spiked yet. Can you copy the ring Graver up here? Yes, but we would still take 2 damage, which puts us, again, dead to the Soul Spike. Yeah, I think that Travis's last card in the deck is Soul Spike. I think he would have just cast it already. They play around Veil. I mean, it's game 1. Maybe he's playing around something. Do I have a Discord manager called Modesty? No. There's someone impersonating me on Discord. It happens a lot with streamers. I don't know if that's what's happened to you here. Do we even know if it's last card? I'm not sure. I think we do, though. So I'm going to go play this Shifting Woodland. Float a green mana off of it, and then use this to copy a Dryad. And then I'm going to attack with 2 Titans here, with 4 Valakuts in play, and then... Oh, you know what? Sorry, I've actually missed like 12 damage here, but... Okay, thank you, Travis. Thank you for the Soul Spike. I don't know what he's playing around, but I'm not sure if he knows either. I'm messaging somebody who says your manager. Okay. This is a general good rule of thumb. If a streamer is messaging you wanting something from you. You're either getting scammed or you're getting groomed. Like it's really rare for a streamer to just cold DM fans in the chat, and you're if that's happening, you're either getting scammed or you're getting groomed. So just don't respond. You know, it's just there's nothing good that comes of this. You know, so I just don't fall for it. All right, we have the charms for their necros and stuff. I can maybe play one Force of Vigor. Let's play one Force of Vigor. Yeah, I mean it's game one, so playing around Bale is kind of rare. Okay, so against the Inquisition of Kozilek deck, I think I'm gonna keep this hand. Playing Valakut turn one is bad if I draw Archdruid's Charm and not like an Explorer first. Right on time. Still very happy to have it, to be honest. It's a little bit weird because I kind of want this Titan in the yard for Delirium. I'm gonna take the Forest. Then if my opponent plays Necro next turn, I can Force of Vigor the Necro, pitching the Titan, and then I'll have Delirium, and I can attack with the Titan. Although maybe I just want to play Ring. Soul Spike, Soul Spike my spawn token. Is that the first time that's ever happened? We even get to deny the life gain. That was really funny, scam to group. It's just true. Like I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that. Like if you're just a person in a stream community, if you're in the Discord, I don't know why any streamer would just be cold DMing people stuff without, being one of those two nefarious reasons. I don't know. Maybe I think in like maybe smaller communities, there's more of like a culture of like reaching out and saying hi and stuff, but and sometimes, right, like you'll message the streamer a question or something, and then they'll respond to you, and that's not a nefarious thing. But when when they're the one reaching out to you, when they're cold DMing you, like it just doesn't really happen another way, I think. All right, the powerful Graveyard Trespasser, stopping my Primeval Titan from being woodlanded. Do I have lethal? I can get another Valakut off this charm. Shouldn't it be quite lethal? And then we can also exile a ring or a necro. Occasionally streamers DM me that they liked my presence in stream that day. Happens to me often. Think, yeah, maybe, sure. Again, I've never done it, but I'm just a toxic douchebag, so don't read too much into that. All right, let's kill the Shieldred. Dude, I have missed casting Archdruid's Charm. All right, going to game 3 on the draw. I think on the draw I want the 4th Grazer. I think I want the 2nd Force of Vigor. Force was looking pretty good that game. Cut the cash grabs. As a streamer, it's hard to cut cash grab, but I think I'm going to cut the 4th Ring and play the 4th Explorer. I assume people are playing Trespasser play for Veilguard coming this Halloween. Yeah, so yeah, Trespasser is like, it's Graveyard Hate against Flage. It's like, a lot of times it comes down against the energy deck, exiles Flage, then gets a 2-for-1 against a Bolt. The incidental life gain is nice. I know Elk has been doing really well. Elk trophied 3 times in a row with his Necro list, which is very impressive. Just putting Grazer is so bad against Inquisition. I think it just is the card to put back here. Actually kind of interesting between Grazer and Titan here. But yeah, I think Trespasser is kind of weak overall. I think there's a chance like you could play Emperor of Bones in that slot too. They do a kind of similar thing, right? But one of them is certainly stronger. sorry. Does Necro not play Dothy? Not a lot of times. They're playing a lot of Trespassers over Dothy. Valakut not being legendary just had to be design oversight. Well, I mean, at that time they were really resistant to printing legendary lands for one reason or another. So I think Elk probably has a March. Pitching 2 Boggart Trawlers. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, when Necro goes discard spell into removal spell into turn 3 Necro, it's very tough to win. We could draw Ring, Primeval Titan. Maybe a removal spell for a Necro would be good enough here. I almost want Nylea's Presence in this deck, if only to add another card type. We already have Enchantment with Dryad, so we don't need the other card type for Nylea's Presence. You could play the Prismatic Omen instead, maybe. Yeah, right. I forgot about how the legend rule was really different back then too. Okay, big draw step for me. Big top deck. Now we only have 2 types in our yard, but you know, a Rumble or a Cash Grab can set us up for Woodland immediately, which is nice. I'm gonna get. Do I get 2 Woodlands? I think I'll get 2. In case they have a removal spell for the first one, and then we'll save this in hand to play and like trigger Dryad potentially. And Primeval Titan is pretty tough for them to kill, which is good. No, I did. Maybe this is a problem with like boarding out my cash grabs too, actually, because now I can only really draw Rumble. This would be a spot to like tutor a fetch land if we had maybe the first fetch land at least. Be interesting to see how many cards they draw here too. Rumbles unexpectedly have a tremendous impact on the modern landscape for such an unassuming card. Yeah, Rumble is really the unholy heat of this set. Like I remember seeing it and thinking it had some potential, and but just being way more focused on like the all the rares and mythics on the day it was spoiled. And it is like really, really over impressed. And that is one thing about Modern too, is like there is kind of a lack of good graveyard enablers. Okay, Archdruid's Charm. The One Ring, Malevolent Rumble. Another Woodland. Well, let me just get the last 2 Valakuts. And pass the turn. If Rumble was a blue card, we'd be talking about it being too strong. Well, I mean, the problem is like in blue, you're playing usually a lot of instants and sorcery, so there would be like a weird tension playing Rumble in a deck without a lot of permanence. One fun thing about casting Titan in these spots is every time you attack with it, you're thinning the deck. Is there a world where every run a second Boseiju for extra interaction, ability to bin and land stuff of double fetch with Titan? Maybe. The like legend rule for another type is probably pretty obscure, but kind of cool. The Shave of Forest for a copy of Vesuva. It doesn't seem like why do you want Vesuva? Like we just get to play like so many copies of our good cards already. But the thing is, one thing is, basic forests are really important in your Castle Garenbrig Shifting Woodland deck, and basic forests are really good against Blood Moon and Harbinger. So I'm not necessarily in love with the idea of just shaving a lot of copies. All right, Rumble is the best draw by a million light years here. Now my opponent's already used 1 Soul Spike. The single bounce land being able to pick up a Boseiju seems like decent utility. Yeah. Do you ever consider Echoing Deeps? It's just I think not correct for the deck. You just need to play a bunch of basics. You don't have a lot of room, I think. And also Woodland can copy lands and yards too. Alright, they have 1 Soul Spike left in the deck. Is it already in the hand? Most of this match has been watching Elk discard to Necro. Is the Delirium Demogorgon new broken card overrated? I don't know how highly people rate that card. I would say it is certainly not broken. But it is like a fine, interesting deck building tool. Would Splunking be any good for stabilization? I don't understand what stabilization means in this context. I have drawn a basic forest. I was so excited for this deck today. I was so excited. Let's pivot over to Blue Black Frog though.